Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretending with Dice. As always, I'm your host, AJ. I'm joined again for the intro of this episode by your GM for this Shadowrun storyline, Eden. How's it going, man?
Hello, I'm pretty good. Welcome back, ladies and gents. Well, welcome for the first time. Yes. Go back an episode.
Back for the second intro in a row as well.
Indeed. Yes, we're back for Shadowrun.
I was going to say, yeah, okay, so what I wanted to ask you in this episode, I feel like we're going to be kind of over these intros kind of drip feeding out after you kind of like a mini interview with you. Yeah, but I thought what I'd do is ask what was your inspiration for kind of the sort of country village in England sort of setting, because traditionally obviously Shadowrun's like big city kind of West Coast America sort of thing, and we're in a completely different sort of side of the world for this sort of thing. So
well, that was very much the first thought on my mind. I've played all of the Shadowrun games, the ones on PC. So Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Hong Kong, and Shadowrun Dragonfall. Dragonfall takes place in Berlin. The first one takes place in Seattle, and the last one is in Hong Kong, unsurprisingly. And all of these are like major city sprawls with like all of the crushing, horrible sense of humanity piled on top of each other. It's a very oppressive, very kind of like, I think Cyberpunk, the trailer for that came out not too long ago, and I assume you've seen that.
I have, yeah. Oh, and the big city kind of stuff does go well with that sort of genre. Exactly.
And I thought, for a change, especially because of where we live and everything, I sort of looked around the world around me and thought, well, what would happen if the town we lived in went into cyberpunk land? And I couldn't picture I couldn't see it getting to that level of like, it wouldn't be a sprawl. It couldn't be a sprawl around here. And there's certain parts of terrain and what have you that are just not good to build on. And St Abbas and the surrounding areas in Dorset, it's hills, it's grassland. It could be built on, but it'd be a hell of a lot of work. And really, in terms of like this notion of magic coming back and maybe some takes on alternate history, like say potentially having come true, which was obviously hinted at with the whole St Abbas giant, like whether or not it had magical powers. I quite liked the idea that, like, for a brief period, a small part of this country that is otherwise fairly untravelled, like St Abbas is a very small village.
It's pretty remote, and I mean it's fairly famous because of the giant, but I feel it's a small village and it's out of the way, and that, isn't it? And
that's it. If you look at it on Google Maps, then it's pretty much a high street and a few like suburb areas off the side of the high street, and that's it. You can drive in and out of the place within 3 minutes.
I mean, so really you had the choice of like, well, you can either make our town bigger or we can just go smaller.
That's it, and I figured that a small town where, yes, it's been escalated, yes, the place grew compared to what it was, and yes, there's certain elements of magic and the seediness that's from the sprawls and what have you, but it's not quite the same thing. It's still a little bit closer to what we've got going right now, and the I don't think I mentioned on the last recording, but I did use the Shadowrun London sourcebook from 1993 as some of the inspiration for some of this, and reading that was very much like, it was like a mental time traveling task almost, of like reading this and feeling like, okay, yeah, the way they describe this is basically if you take 1993 Britain and then just put orcs and dwarves and stuff into it. Like they treated it very much like the British don't change, we're all stiff upper lip, and when the magic came back we all just kind of stomped our feet and went, nope, this is how we do it here, we're not going to even react to that, we're going to pretend like nothing's happening.
I mean, it's a fairly, I would think fairly decent assumption to make, really.
Oh yeah, I love it as far as like taking the cliche of what the British character is and just going, yeah, we basically stuck to our guns, and we kept a lot of racial tensions and other social issues, but when it came to the magic related things, that was never a problem. It just became part of the way things are.
Yeah.
So yeah, taking that small town mentality, that kind of that notion of a rundown village, I quite like that idea.
Yeah, I like the idea from a character standpoint. Like, it was almost, I mean, Giles' backstory, I can't remember quite how far Jason went into it, but at least for mine it was kind of a bit of like an escape to the countryside sort of deal going on, and I think it worked quite well for that, of like, yeah, my guy's on the run from a couple of London orcs and hiding out in a little Dorset village is probably the best place for him.
Exactly. It's perfect to get away from that kind of, I don't know, the big gangs and what have you. They don't quite operate this far out, or at least not in the same way. I mean, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but these guys, like, when their approach to like finding out what was going on is concerned, it wasn't necessarily the most stringent approach, let's say.
No, I think listeners will kind of have guessed that from the first part. But yeah. Well, shall we have a bit of a recap of last time, and then we'll jump into this episode then?
Certainly, yeah. I'll give you a quick rundown.
Yeah. Okay,
so we joined our characters, Giles and... Oh, God.
Selas.
Selas. I was terrible during the recording.
It happened a lot.
Let me start that again so you can edit this sentence out.
No, it's funny. We'll leave it in.
Fair enough. I can look terrible. It's fine. So we joined Giles and Selas. Sorry, there we go. As they were driving into town, being driven by a taxi driver who made no judgment at all based on their sexuality and simply left them to their conversation. So the guys got dropped off by their taxi driver at the Giant's Inn, which is run by a guy named Tommy. Tommy explained to them that there was a local woman that he was trying to keep under his protection because she'd ran up a debt working at a local clinic, which she was basically running out of her own pocket, accruing black market debts, and getting herself into a spot of trouble. That debt had been bought up by a local, I don't want to call him a pimp because we don't quite know that, but he's a dodgy character named Dieter. Dieter works for a guy named Oskins that Tommy has had history with. Tommy went on to explain that these are the guys to keep an eye out for, and that there is a big woman named Dasher that works for the two of them that is very dangerous and to very much be kept away from. These guys didn't really seem to I'd say Selas was a little bit wary about that, but Giles didn't seem to give a damn about any of it. He was more interested.
I mean, Selas is pretty wary about everything, really.
Yeah, no doubt about that. He's a very, touchy, is that the right word? Maybe a sensitive soul, maybe?
Yeah, let's go with that.
So the guys went upstairs, prepped their stuff, and headed out into the night to check out the club where the events were taking place. Dieter, Oskins, and Dasher all work at a place called the Giant's Inn, specifically named to irritate Tommy, because obviously you've got the Giant's Inn, the Giant's Inn, a lot of confusion potential there. They arrived and Giles set to work quite rapidly, wooing just about everybody in sight, including Dasher, to the point that Dasher had a very hard time coping with quite all of this attention because she's not the type of girl that gets that normally, and Giles was laying it on thick. Very, very thick.
I think he very quickly realised that would be a way to throw her off kilter a little.
Oh, he made a good call. So the guys headed into the bar from there, checked out the place a little bit, ran into a guy named Shuhan who could fit them in. Go back an episode if you've not listened to this one already, go back.
Yeah, it should have gone without saying really, but if you haven't listened to part 1, go back and listen to part 1.
You won't get all the puns otherwise. They had a little altercation with him, went to the bar, had a chat with a guy named Bert, who explained the ongoings in the bar, gave him a little bit of a rundown of who's the movers and shakers in the place, who does what, how he ended up working there, which is neither here nor there. And we left the guys with Giles left in the bar, kind of carousing and chatting to Bert, trying to get a little bit more information out of him. And Selas had gone off with a madam named Vanda. Vanda had been described as a slightly older lady who was maybe a bit matronly. And Selas had described that the service he was looking for was a story of some sort. So Vanda had settled him down, tucked him into bed, and was just about to tell the story. The legend of the Eastenders. And that's where we'll be rejoining things.
Yeah, that's where we left off. So, okay, without any further ado, let's get into today's episode.
As you lay down in the bed, she pulls the covers up. They feel ever so slightly damp.
That's rather disturbing.
Oh, don't worry about that. It's just a hot place. This you'll be off
I feel
to
like I feel it through my coat and everything.
Yeah, it's that kind of like it's almost humid in this. Now that she's closed the curtains in particular, it's almost like the air just suddenly stagnated.
Oh, it's a little warm in here.
Okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
Once upon a time, there was a pair of brothers, and their names were the Mitchells, and they were hard men, the hardest of men. She looks at you like, kind of like, are you on board with the story?
I feel like Selas has probably heard of Eastenders, but
This is like fairly old stuff at this point. But if you're well versed in your kind of Matrix stuff, maybe you can justify knowing.
That's the thing. Selas is. Let me read you the skills I took as knowledge skills. I can speak English and Sperethiel.
It's just wonderful, this whole thing.
But I'm into BTLs, which is obviously full immersion,
alternate reality, like
but like historical fantasy.
Okay.
ones. And also just random gaming of World of Shadows, which I read as like a edgy vampire thing, really.
He's almost like a Shadowrunner fanboy that became a Shadowrunner.
Kind of, yeah. But other than that, he sort of knows West European history, classical music, and he's used to, if he does go out to bars and clubs, they're elf bar and clubs. So this is, like I say, very out of his element here.
Okay.
But
I can believe then, based on the fact that you know Western history, I like the idea that Eastenders has become something of like an apocryphal tale of here's how it was before the magic came back.
Culturally notable sort of.
Yeah, so now we have like these gangers, we have people with guns, magic, all of this stuff. But once upon a time, it was just the Mitchell brothers, and they was the hardest of them all. And they would run in the pub with their mum. And she continues on and basically narrates an episode of EastEnders to you. It's incredibly mundane. It's just people bitching at each other. At this point in EastEnders history, let's say it's the bit where Martine McCutcheon has been pushed down the stairs, and it's the legend of how like the whole Mitchell family went into disarray, and all of those events are taking place.
Truly a historical saga for the ages.
Oh yes, this one has been handed down through the generations. I'm lucky to have seen the actual footage myself. It's a rare thing.
Footage?
Yes, as I said, the videos.
Wow.
Yes, they documented times back then. They said they showed the whole world what the Mitchells were up to.
So it's just to clarify, this is effectively viewed as being like a historical text
Of sorts.
Right, wonderful.
At least in this woman's mind.
This is the best thing.
Keep in mind that Vanda is a long-time operator of a brothel, and isn't necessarily the most learned of individuals.
Are you saying she's not a reliable historian?
That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough. Do you think as Selas has knowledge of what actual Western history, he would be able to, after a little while, realise that maybe this isn't historical fact that's being told to him?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But you're aware that EastEnders was like an entertainment product of its time.
Whereas maybe she's not fully aware of that. Okay.
So how you want to react, that's up to you.
Okay, so fairly early on in her telling of the story of the Mitchell brothers, it kind of twigs in Selas' mind of like, oh wait, I've heard of this. This was a light entertainment program that she's severely misunderstood. So while he's kind of like, oh, and sort of nodding along, he's trying to think, how the hell am I going to get out of this bed and find out how to talk to Dita?
I don't know why you got in the bed.
So
you're just going to lay there and hear the story?
I'm hearing the story, and in my head I'm trying to sort of put together of like, okay, well, I need to get some useful information, not just about Martine McCutcheon. As useful as that information might be, as useful as that information might be, it's not really relevant to our current problem here in Cern Abbas, is it? Okay. So as she kind of finishes the story, then Selas says, "Oh, well, that was wonderful. Did the other people in here also like
like hearing stories from you?
Nah, they bloody hate it. They don't want to talk to me about nothing. They don't trust me, for good reason, quite frankly.
Oh, good. What? You seem perfectly lovely to me. What's the...
Oh, you're... And she kind of gets a little bit kind of flustered again. There's just this hint that she desperately wants to be treated like she used to be once upon a time, perhaps.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you to say, love. Well, they don't trust me because, quite frankly, I'm the one in charge. I talk to the boss, I let him know what's going on, and that gets me favours. That's why I'm allowed to wear this gown like I do, and not really look after myself quite as much as the others.
Oh, well, that's a real shame that they ostracize you like that.
It's alright, I don't really care, love. I've got my stories.
Does the boss, does he like your stories, though?
I'm mostly, I don't really talk that much with Dieter. He likes to keep it related to business for the most part. He's in and out of it quite quick. But,
He doesn't stay here very long, then?
Well, he comes in for a drink. He usually has a little look around, make sure the stock's in keeping and all that kind of stuff, and then he buggers off.
Oh.
Usually out into the back office, in fairness. So it's not like he doesn't look after the place or nothing.
Back office, you say? I tell you, I once went to a club in the city, and the manager of that club, well, he was always out and about, one of the thin gentlemen in stripy trousers, talking to all the people.
Well, no, Dieter's not really like that. As I say, he stays in the back office. The boss Hoskins, is a bit more gregarious. He's out here chatting to the lads and lasses a little bit more. He likes to sample the product now and again.
Oh, but that's...
You might catch him later on.
Oh, he sounds like a very interesting fellow.
Well, you want to be careful talking to him. He's got a bit of a temper and a lot of history around these parts. Lived here his whole life. He's been running things for quite a long time alongside Dieter, he has.
Oh, is he often on the premises as well, then, you say?
Yeah, he usually comes and goes with Dieter. Those two are quite inseparable for the most part. Not often I see them, aside from when they're actually in the building, I don't see them separated that much.
Well, it's good that he kept the business local.
Yeah, if you say so. You want another story? I mean, and she kind of looks at her wrist in a way, like she's not wearing a watch, but she looks at her wrist, and
okay.
Time's money and all that.
No, I think I'll take some time to really assimilate the saga of the Mitchell brothers and their staircase. At the pub, that pub.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, no, it's a good one, love. In fact, if you want to ruminate on that for a little while, you paid for enough time that, this story didn't take quite as long as it might have done, and if you don't need me for nothing else, I'm going to go back outside, have a fag. So, if you want to tuck in, and she pulls the blanket up to your chin, says, and my special little boy can have a nice little sleep if he wants.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Oh, well, I'll leave you to it then, and she plants a soft kiss on your forehead, and taps you on the cheek and goes, you are my special boy.
Oh, thank you.
As soon as she leaves, I kind of just immediately get out of the bed. And
yeah, she wanders out of the curtain, and you immediately hear the cracking of a lighter. Yeah, and she's leaned immediately against the wall, directly outside the curtain.
I kind of put my head in my hands a little bit and go, if only I hadn't taken that damn loan from those brothers.
Is there any element of the talk of the Mitchell brothers making you think?
Yeah,
of these
no,
other
that
guys?
really did. Yeah, no, that sparked some thoughts of she was like, they were the hardest men around. And as soon as she said the Mitchell brothers, he was like, Mackenzie brothers. Oh, Mackenzie brothers. Oh God, a couple of hard London boys. Except these are a couple of hard London orcs. Basically is the. In fact, no, they pretty much look like the Mitchell brothers.
They went through the change. Cool, right, okay, so your character is going to be sat in that room for a moment. You guys, what do you want to do from there, in fairness? I shouldn't move away from you yet.
So she's actually outside of the curtain.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can walk straight out if you like, but you might...
Do I see anywhere I could plug my deck in?
There's nowhere to plug in, but there is wireless, and there's some... Checking your deck, you can see that there's a connection that you can get onto. Okay. It says Giant Sin, as it's kind of like the router name or whatever it is in this future tech router is named the Giant Sin.
Yeah.
So, and you can log onto it, but it appears to be, given your expertise, you can see that the connection will be quite limited, and that it's basically an intranet that you'll be connecting to.
Okay. I have skill in hacking. Mm-hmm. Can I try and get into like the admin side of things?
Yep. It's not going to be anything too complicated because
Okay.
this is not like this is not a proper cybersecurity outfit. It's a whorehouse. They're not really
Yeah.
expecting anybody to be breaking into their computer systems to figure out what's going on there. So, what's your what
pool
are
of
your
dice.
relevant skills?
Well, I've got hacking, which would be a pool of 12 dice.
Woof.
I've got electronic warfare, which would be a pool of 8 dice.
You know what? Stop. You hacked the system.
Okay.
Because I was going to be like, it's a low-level computer. We're basically talking about an Office Windows machine that
Fair
you're
enough.
basically breaking into, and what you're describing is like, no, I know how to program a computer.
Okay, so here's what I want to do then. So I set up, immediately go to log into the system, and just on a whim, when it asks for password, I just type password.
Miraculously, it works. So, inside of
I've now got the hacker man image in my head.
I roll my eyes and then go to work looking at I want to look at the files and
So within the file structure, you can see that for the most part, within this section of the intranet, it's things relating to what the business offers. That Tridio of shoe, you can see the file for that.
I download that.
Okay. Alongside that, there is a Tridio for Bert. There's also one for Kareen. Another one for a man named Asher. You presume to be the man that was dancing in the corner.
Yeah.
And there isn't one for Vanda, but there is a very, very old flyer in the same folder that has a picture of a woman on it that looks like this was possibly Vanda, but it's about 40 years ago.
Okay.
And for some reason, this is being kept alongside the others, possibly as some sort of like
To be
reminder.
updated at some point.
Yeah, maybe they were gonna make a video, but they thought better of it after taking the footage of Vanda.
Yeah. Okay, is there any way I can just do like a quick just copy paste on a lot of the stuff?
Yep, you can dump the files for the day-to-day operations of the place.
I want to do that.
Okay, so what you've got now is you've got stock levels, you've got all the incomings and outgoings from the bar. All of it seems above board, though. There's nothing that's immediately there's no file that's marked people's debts or anything like that.
Okay. So maybe going on. Was I there and then we heard about the barman having a debt? I wasn't I?
Yeah, he said it as soon as you walked in.
So after sort of scanning through and realising there is no record of that, I'm wondering whether that's on a separate server or something. Mm-hmm. Okay. But so I'm going to copy what I can copy, and then while sort of keeping an eye on the curtain, as if just in case Vanda sort of is going to move me back off.
She's leaving you to it. She's very much like, as she said, she's gone for a smoke. As far as she's concerned, the job is over. Maybe when the time's ran out, you had another 15-20 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe
but
when that's
essentially
over, she'll pop her head in. But during the time you're doing this, you've got ample opportunity
Yeah,
to...
all I was saying is
get on.
I'm basically I'm doing it as quickly as possible, and then as soon as I've got what I've got, I'm going to put my deck away and hide it under my coat again.
Okay.
Just to sort of take the opportunity while I can, while I've got this room to myself.
Cool. So we'll say it took about 10 minutes to get in, quickly scan over those files, get it all copied over to your deck.
Was there any security camera feeds of the room I was in?
There was no link to any of the security within that part of the file system.
Okay.
It was just administrative things.
All right. Okay. That's a thought that I file away for a problem to be dealt with at some point. Because that's a rather obvious hack I just did. Okay. All right. Well, it's done. So yeah. All right. So I put my deck away and just kind of I hide myself back under the covers, waiting for Vanda.
Okay. So
as if I never left them.
a couple of moments later, after staying under those slightly damp covers, Vanda pops her head back into the room and says, "You still sleeping down there, love?"
What? Oh, well, I must have dozed off. Thank you.
Wakey, rise and shine. And she pulls the curtains back and sort of nods her head to the side while looking at you as if to say, time's up, get out.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think I'll see what my friend is doing. So, thank you very much for your time.
It's been a pleasure, love. You come back, I'll tell you the story of Janine next time.
Oh, well, that sounds fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah. Wellard, the dog. Oh, you wouldn't believe the stories.
Oh, spoilers.
You wander back over towards the bar where you find Giles having just finished his conversation with Bert.
Right.
You want to confer for a moment?
Well, I'm back.
I can see that. How was it?
It was illuminating.
Right.
I certainly learned some new tricks.
Kinky.
Bert raises an eyebrow again. That half-hearted glass polishing routine is very much a sort of cover for listening in on the conversations that are happening nearby, and he's very clearly like an eye is shot over towards your direction.
Yeah.
You both clocked it because Bert is not very good at discretion.
Right.
How about you, Giles? You get up to anything interesting?
Nah, not really. Just settle the bar tabs, usual stuff.
Well, that's very good of you.
Oh, I do my bit.
Bert, seeing that you're both kind of like chatting but you don't have a drink and nothing seems to be happening and knowing his job, boys, can I get you anything else?
I'd hold up my still 1/3 full Crown Reduce. Go,
No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm still nursing this one.
Rolls his eyes, looks over at Giles. Well, I take it back with you. You're not getting anything else for the rest of the night. I don't like the way you were talking to me a few minutes ago.
No, that was me about to give you a nice big tip.
I'll give you a tip.
Oh, I'd have to pay for that though, wouldn't I?
Yeah. And he kind of looks down because you've got him there, and unfortunately, he doesn't really have a good line for that one. From the corner of the one of the corners of the room that doesn't have the pole in it, so close to the bar.
okay.
Dasher comes back out and sees you guys stood there at the bar, locks eyes with Giles again, and immediately puts her head down and paces past as fast as he possibly can back out towards the front.
I definitely wink as soon as she makes eye contact.
Noting that wink, that's what makes her double down on the I'm going straight past him, not making contact, keep going.
Okay. I keep an eye. I just clocked what door she came out of.
Okay. The door itself, it's got a electronic lock on the outside of it,
Right.
and there is a small window that's got that kind of metal grating inside of it, so
Okay.
it's you wouldn't be able to just smash it through, but you can see through that door if you come close up to it.
Okay.
But it is conspicuous in a way where Bert's going to see you if you go straight over to that door right now.
Yeah, no, I feel like Selas isn't amazing at social situations, as you might have noticed, but he's not oblivious to okay, we need to play this cool here. This isn't my first rodeo when it comes to pulling jobs and things. Okay, so I turned back to John and say,
Well then, if we just, do you think we should call it a night then?
No, it's probably worth it. You get everything you want out of tonight?
Oh yes, a lot to think about.
Good.
Some introspection required, I think.
Alright, and Bert, we're going to be on our way. It's 50 new yen for you.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
No, you weren't, buddy. Look, I'm sorry. Got a short temper,
Oh, he certainly does.
Well, he turned this evening around, and he quickly pours out a whiskey, slides it across to you.
It's on the house.
Yeah, it's all yours, mate. I shouldn't, but, well, if you're going to give me 50, then under the table and all that.
No, you're a gent.
But quickly glances towards Vander, who is far too absorbed in a cigarette to have noticed what's going on, and he kind of quickly he looks at you drink it.
Down it instantly.
Okay. Well, guys,
Don't wake up with a hangover.
can I expect to see you guys again?
Oh, well, we had quite a nice time, didn't we? Might be back in at some point, I think.
Yeah, it's quite possible. We're in town for a couple of days, so see how it goes.
All right, well, I'll see you next time then.
Have a good evening, Bert. Hopefully business picks up for you.
Well, I'll be here for a while yet. And he kind of goes back to polishing the glass.
Selas, you got a pen?
A pen? What do I need a pen for?
Have you got a pen? It's a simple enough question.
Oh, yes, I've always got a pen.
Wonderful. Give it here for a sec.
What kind of gentleman doesn't carry a pen? Hand over my pen.
Just grab a napkin, write my number on it.
Okay.
Come on in, let's go.
Have my pen back first.
As you head back, let's say you're walking along as you're doing this.
Sure you are.
As you're passing by, Shu looks over to the two of you and crestfallen because he recognised the fact that he's not getting paid tonight. He just, again, you see his shoulders shrug.
Might try you on tomorrow, buddy, don't you worry.
I'll fit you in! He yells after you with a look of renewed hope on his face. Shu's up and down, like he's absolutely like he goes from the bottom to the top as quick as you could say. So you make your way back out through the club. The male dancer is still going on his thing. Kareen is slowly turning as you pass by, and you see a small, what seems to be a tear in her eye, but you keep going, uninterested, clearly. Back at the front door.
That's all rather depressing.
Gotta take the highs with the lows.
Let me know when we hit one of them highs.
Yeah. You got regaled
that was
with
a good-
Eastenders.
Yeah, that was a good time with Vander.
It was, yeah. Had a bargain.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Same price.
Cheap at half price.
Same price as a whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is an expensive club. It's got one of those weird rates where it's like you get in the door and suddenly you're in a hell zone of like weird menus and unusual deals and all kinds of things. So anyway, you're getting out towards the door. As you're approaching the entrance, you can see that Dasher is sort of looking down at a notepad with the Barker, and she's pointing at things while the Barker's nodding and agreeing with whatever she's telling him. Right. So, what do you want to do as you approach?
You alright, darling? Here you go. I'm just going to hand over the napkin, my number over to Dasher.
She doesn't take it. The Barker looks over at you with a look on his face of like, what the fuck are you doing right now? Like, what the hell do you think you're doing messing with this woman?
You could both come if you want, I don't mind.
He snatches the napkin out of your hand, looks at it for a second, shows it to Dasher. Dasher looks down at it, snatches it out of his hand as quickly as she possibly can, and then looks at you with a look of, I can't believe this is happening, but yes. And sort of gives you a wink and a sly smile.
I'm gonna wink and then like blow her a kiss just as we're walking past.
She catches it.
It's the best thing.
And she does like a really slow hand coil thing, like to catch it. It's not like a quick snatch. It's a very slow, meaningful. Like, I will treasure this. This is honest. Like, I'm not going to open my hand until I see you again because I need to keep this in here.
Maybe I'll see you later, darling.
And she nods and kind of like in a perfunctory way where she's kind of hoping you keep talking to her. She kind of like goes back to pointing at things on the list.
I try and sort of slip past without getting patted down.
Yep, she's far too
That was my hope on that.
engaged with all of this.
Because they didn't pat us down on the way in, but I definitely have a computer strapped to my back.
Yeah, they're oblivious. They didn't notice anything. On the way in, they took you for nothing. On the way out, you weren't even noticed. That was far too. Giles has just overpowered this situation.
He's there as my distraction.
That's it. Okay, so from there, do you want to just head straight back to the Giant's Inn?
I want to have a walk round the back.
Okay. Right, which way do you want to go, left or right? So we're coming out of the front of the building, big warehouse type thing. So we've got tall 2-story walls, like the whole wall is 2-story, either side. Do you want to go left or right?
Right.
Okay, so you're going to go right. You come up to the corner and you can see the security camera is pointing down directly over the space that you're going to be travelling past. There's no gate to stop you doing this, but it's clear that the area is monitored. Do you want to keep going?
I think maybe I want to walk past, so I'm not completely going around the back. Like, so I'm almost like I'm going to take a wider route round, if that makes sense.
So you're edging, let's say, the car park that I described earlier. The front step of the building leads onto the car park, so you're just going to keep kind of walking around the edge of the car park as opposed to going. You're going to go.
What's either side of the Giant's Inn?
You've got a small narrow passageway and then fencing, bushes, and it's kind of like you've got 2 walkways that just go behind the building, but just past that is like fields, let's say. Like it's like trees and fields and shrubbery and stuff. There's nothing actually, like there's no more building in those directions.
I think having clocked that the security system was separate from the main computer, Selas has got a bit of an idea that maybe it's a bit more beefy than just like your regular kind of nightclub. So I think I'd rather almost walk through the fields and have a look from a distance just at what the layout of it is.
Okay, so
trying to avoid appearing on camera, sort of thing.
The car park at the front,
cognizant of the fact that he's already appeared on camera
in a different setting.
Yeah, but like
not in any of the suspicious locations. You were on the camera, but you're just coming into the building.
But I was doing something fairly suspicious on my deck when I was on the inside.
There was no camera in the boudoir.
Was there not? Okay, no. I just assumed there was.
No. There was. I guess I should have described, but there was in the main walkway there were cameras, but the boudoirs themselves, as private as they could be, given the curtains across the front. So when the curtains were pulled back, certain angles might have been able to have been seen by the cameras that were inside, but when they're pulled across...
Oh, okay, right. I was being a bit paranoid there, and I was thinking, like, maybe this is being all secretly filmed. And
it's not quite that seedy.
Okay, all right, okay, that's actually...
This is a place that wants return custom, and it's not necessarily going to be, like... As much as they do handle higher-level clientele, they're not necessarily in the blackmail business.
And probably not in Vanda's room, anyway.
Certainly not in Vanda's room.
Okay.
And so then they're probably going to delete the recordings of the stories that she might tell to the occasional
okay,
customer.
yeah, no, I was just being a bit paranoid that, like, I as soon as she left, I whipped out my deck, hacked into all their stuff, and then immediately as soon as I finished, went, like, as if I was turning to the right, and there's just a camera right there, you know.
Just a blinking light.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Okay, so
that's actually a bit of a weight off my mind.
So in front of the giant sin is the car park itself. Let's say it's about a 50 space one, so you've got a vague sense of like a size.
Yep.
Square shape in front of the building. There's not really a good path up to it. It's more like this place is basically a adapted warehouse.
I'm kind of picturing the Staples in Bournemouth.
Kind of like that, yeah. So if you want to go further around from the edge of the car park to get around to the edge of the building, there is a large fence. It's a 2-story fence, the same height as the building.
But
so
I can
you're not going to be able to.
Right?
Yeah, you're going to be able to see through it, but you won't be able to cross this fence without some equipment or doing something to the fence to get rid of it.
That's fine for now, I think.
Okay, so it takes about 10 minutes to get to the end of the fencing that you need to, so that you can get around it and into the shrubbery. It's quite a densely shrubbery kind of overgrown area. So I feel like are you both going to take this trip around the back of the building? Are you both going together? Or?
That's a good question.
Giles, I want to get a good look at the back of the building. I feel like if that way through to the office is our only option, that's going to be rather tricky, isn't it?
Nah, I'll be alright, we can do it, don't worry. Keep your head low and we'll both go.
Well, let's go have a look. I want to have a look at the back of the building. I mean, there must be a goods in entrance or something.
Yeah, let's go have a look.
Alright, well, follow me.
Okay. So, stepping into this densely shrubbed area, it's quite heavy going. It takes you quite a long time making progress forwards because it's dark, it's the middle of the night, there's the sounds of insects, there's hints of wildlife nearby, things moving.
Yeah.
And as you're approaching the
so warm,
where the fence is, yeah, it really is. As you're approaching the fence, you spot that the ground becomes very thickly laden with thorn bushes and brambles.
Yeah.
If you're going to cross through this, it's either going to be a slightly painful route forward, or you're going to have to do something about those brambles to make any progress. From here, though, you can see an amount of light coming through the fence that you can see. It's going to take you about another 10 paces to be able to get close enough to the fence to really pull back what's growing on it and see what's past it. But you can see lights, you can see the vague outline of a door, you can see that there's a couple of windows next to this, there are vents, and looking above the fence line, just through the kind of trees, you can see that there's steam coming from a vent at the back of the building. So, what do you want to do?
Well, I want to get a good look. So, like you say, we've got this vague outline. I do, I kind of want to try and sort of push my way through the brambles a little bit, if I can, but carefully, because I don't want to get cut up.
Okie-doke.
I've got a knife. I've got several knives on me, so I can just cut through the brambles.
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay then. Well, we will say that that's what you do.
Choppity chop.
Being very light on the rolling here. I'm really not forcing much out of
that's
it.
fine. Yeah. We haven't done too many things I feel that would require.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm sort of asking myself now, is This isn't like magical fucking thorn bushes or anything.
No,
I don't feel like you're going to have a hard time taking your knife and basically cutting a very, like... It takes you about 20 minutes. It's not a quick job because you've obviously got to put your hands into the brambles, find the nice spots where you can get your hand, sort of like a grip, and then start sawing away at it.
Yeah.
But you've got the technology with you, so you've got a small light, whether it's on your deck or otherwise, if you want to describe that. You provide lighting so that...
Yeah, I've got like a low kind of like... Not like a camera flash, but like just enough to kind of like...
I'm thinking like it's like you're holding your mobile.
Yeah,
over the top
essentially,
of it.
So because I don't want people to be able to see us, but just enough so that Giles can see what he's doing.
So Giles has knelt down, and he's sawing away at this stuff. Takes about 15 to 20 minutes, and in that time you can hear that there's movement at the back of the building. There's people coming and going from one of the back doors, and there's an indication of another route out from that back area that you couldn't see from the front. It's a it's a footpath that leads where you've gone right out of the front entrance. It goes left. The area that you've just passed around in order to get to this rear area of the building, you can see that the walkway at the back of this building leads in that direction, and that there is a cut into the wooded area, the kind of brambles and what have you, that has definitely got a path going into that place. But surely, having come from that direction, you would have seen where that path was.
We would have crossed over it.
But you didn't.
Yeah.
So that begs a question.
Okay.
After 10-15 minutes of sawing away, cutting through, getting a few brambles in your hands here and there, you manage to get through, and you'll get close enough to the fence so that you can pull back a few of the leaves and what have you. It's brightly lit back there, though, so you're going to be quite careful about how much you're removing here. Maybe
I
so
think
that you
we
can
need to
sort of peek an eye through.
Keep this as stealthy as possible. I just need to be able to have a look without having to,
Trash everything.
Yeah.
So you can see the path that was obscured from where you were leads into a dip. You can see that it goes downwards as it heads towards the brambles and what have you, and seemingly drops off.
That's interesting.
Yes, that's very interesting. You don't see a lot of this sort of strange...
Can you see any cameras? I feel like
Yes.
you'd be better at seeing this than I
Yeah, I'll take a look around.
I'll answer the question. Yes.
Yeah.
There is one camera. You can now see that the door that I was describing before, you can quite clearly see that this is the stock entrance. This is where they're going to be bringing barrels through for the booze and what have you. It's got a camera hanging over the top of it, blinking light, very clearly in operation. There are two windows next to this door. One of them is opaque with a silver lining reflective.
Right.
The other one isn't. It appears as though it's been freshly installed.
Right.
Next to it is a vent with the steam coming out of it. And as you look, as I said, I've already described the dip off down the path. And that's really all that's back there. There's a few trays, pallets, that kind of stuff. Things that are just like signs that this is where stock comes through.
Can we see anything through the non-opaque window?
From the angle that you're at, and with it being nighttime, you can't really make much out.
Okay.
You can see that it's an office, though. That there's the outline of a desk, a table. There's perhaps the hint of some kind of workstation.
Okay. All right.
But beyond that, no, not from this distance.
Ideally, I'd want to... Well, this is the thing, is it... What happens if I get in there and it's the same workstation that I already hacked remotely from the... Yeah.
This gives us a few more options other than rushing our way through the bar.
Getting any signals round here?
That's a very good question.
I thought so.
I just sort of surreptitiously sort of scanned for any extra Wi-Fi stuff.
No, there's nothing extra.
Okay.
Whatever network they've got running is very much closed.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, do you think we should head back to the Giant's Inn? And I've got quite a lot of data to go through, but we need to regroup. Maybe we need to talk to the woman who runs the clinic in the morning and find out what her side of the problem, her side of the story is.
I mean, it doesn't really matter what her problem is. We just need to sort this out, right?
Well, yes, but she might have some details that Tommy didn't.
To be fair, he didn't particularly seem all that helpful, given that he hired us.
I know, strange that, isn't it?
Bit of a prick.
Yes.
All right, and let's go back.
Yes, I need to wash myself.
Okay.
Okay, so you saunter back down the road towards the Giant's Inn. There are a few people, the ones that you saw out in the street earlier, cavorting ever so slightly.
Yeah.
One or two of them are in the gutter now. The gentlemen on the corners, there's only one or two of them left. It seems like perhaps they've done their business for the evening. And as you wander into the towards the bar, are you heading to the front or the back?
I think the back entrance.
Yep, back entrance again. You get close up to the back entrance and bang on the door. Tommy comes through to the back. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning now. It's taken a while doing everything at the club and getting there and back and what have you. Tommy comes to the door, wiping his eyes. Bloody hell, guys, you took your time, didn't you?
Yes.
What did you get up to then? You got good news for me? And he welcomes you in through the door as he's saying this.
We're making some progress, I think.
What do you know?
Well, we know Shu can fit us in for one thing, but
Bloody Shu. I've seen that bloody video 1,000 bloody times. Same line every time.
that's how trios work, isn't it?
Well, no, I mean the other ones they've all got like a variety. That guy, he says the same bloody thing every time.
Catchphrase comedy. Well, we've got a place we can check out that seemed to be rather secret. I couldn't get into all of their data files, so.
Hacking and all that. I'm glad I hired you if that's what you're getting up, so I can do that.
I am all about the decking, yo.
Alright. Alright, yeah. I don't know quite what to tell you about that, but yeah. And he turns to Giles, expecting a slightly more sensible conversation out of him. So it's all going well then, mate, yeah?
I haven't punched anyone yet, so I guess so.
Well, I guess it's a start. You don't want to be drawing too much attention. Alright, well, I'm going to get my head back down, and as you enter into the bar through the stock room, you see that the old chap, the barfly, he's still there, and he's still staring at that beer. He's not moved an inch at all, and he doesn't acknowledge you as you come back.
Does it look like the same beer?
It's not necessarily, but it's hard to tell. It's got enough froth in it that it could be fresh.
Alright,
I'm just gonna poke him. Just joking, you're still with us, fella?
His eyes shudder from left to right, as if he was perhaps asleep, but hadn't like closed his eyes or anything.
You know you could just go home, right?
Home? No. And
Holy
Tommy,
shit, it was an actual word.
Tommy kind of rests his hand on your shoulder and goes, "This is his bloody home, mate.
Oh.
I told you, it's hard times in this town. I got to look out for the last few." And he kind of... There's an air about him as he says this to you, like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I really don't want to get into this now.
I didn't want to get into it anyway. Bed.
Right, boys, off you go. And Tommy takes his perch behind the bar, and he sort of leans on he puts a fist against his head and leans, facing towards the front door with one hand under the table.
So he's sleeping at the bar? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's different.
And he sort of waves you guys. He sees you going up the stairs up towards like your bedroom, and he waves you on.
Yeah.
Sees that you're looking back at him as if to say, like, are you going to stay there? And he's like, yeah, see ya.
Well, the first thing I do is check if my gun is still there.
Yep, nothing's moved.
Okay.
You go to your door. As I said, it was locked when you left. There's no indication of anybody having come through. Nobody's messed with any of your stuff.
Right, that's good. That was a worry. Okay, and the second thing I do is jump in the shower.
You wash off the night stink.
Yeah, the moistness of the sheets and things in...
It's not a word you want on sheets, is it?
No. Vander's boudoir is not... wasn't the ideal... I did, it wasn't nice.
So yeah, you clean yourself off and sort yourself out. Is Giles going to do anything to sort of prep for bed, or is he the type to just plonk his head down?
Yeah, literally just kind of like falls face first onto the bed and goes to sleep. Like there's not even any... It's clear that nothing troubles him enough to keep him up at night.
Just, and that's it, just die.
He does check his phone, I guess. Phones? What's
Yeah,
the device?
yeah,
Electronic device, just to see if Dash is called at all.
There is a message from Dasher. There's a it's a variety of. They're not quite emojis because time has gone on and like the technology's moved forward.
They're just emos now.
Like they're all animated. They're all proper nice little cartoon heads and things doing things. And she sent you a heart exploding, a picture of a person blowing a kiss, a wrench, and some like a lug nut that's spinning around.
So I tighten her nuts.
That's what's on the message.
Cool.
She's gonna wrench your nuts off,
Cool.
but in a good way.
There's only a good way, AJ. Come on. I'll send her a winky emoji and a blow kiss emoji and a.
Eggplant.
It's always an eggplant, right? Double eggplant.
Double eggplant.
And then yeah, just fall asleep.
Before you can fall asleep, Dasha texts you back. Clearly, her fingers are like lightning, having witnessed what you've sent back. This time, it's 3 exploding heart emojis and 2.
I love that you're going into
2
this.
aubergines, and then an exclamation point and a calendar.
Is the aubergine the counterpart to the eggplant in emoji?
Aubergine, eggplant, same thing.
I'm gonna, rather than sending emojis, I'll just put. What should we do? I feel like having her out of the way would be really good. Like having her away from the bar if possible.
Yeah.
If we're going to be going back there.
Well, she sent you a calendar, so she's asking for a
yeah,
date.
yeah, exactly.
Or at the very
so
least,
she's asking for a date, basically.
Yeah.
So
A fuck appointment.
I'm wondering if it would be a good idea for me to distract her while you go and get the information.
I mean, if that's what your guy's good at.
Is that and punching stuff? Sailors, what time are we going back this tomorrow?
Well, are we going straight back, or will we be talking to the clinic owner?
We can do that, yeah, but what time in the evening will we be checking out the place? I reckon I could distract Dasher. If you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
I don't think you do. What kind of time do you reckon we'll be back at the club?
Well, so as soon as it gets dark, I think. I mean, I'm not going to go into the club myself. If you can keep Dasher busy, I'm going to try and sneak around and see where that passageway went around the back.
Cool.
If you know what I mean.
No, I do.
I don't think you do.
No, probably not. Look back at the phone. I'm going to text Dasher back with just rather than anything else, just tomorrow night, and then like
Is that like a sunset
9:30. No,
emoji?
like literally just words. Tomorrow night 9:30, like front of the bar or something. So I'll literally go and pick her up basically from work.
Okay. You immediately get a message back within like 10 seconds of you having sent that. Again, 2 exploding hearts, and I'm trying to think like, how do you speak?
You don't even know what emojis are.
I still use smileys with brackets and punctuation. That's
That
what
is
I
a
use.
big old mood.
We used MSN Messenger. We don't use.
Yeah, like-
yeah.
And they were emoticons, not emojis.
Yeah, I got as far as using that sound effect where Hank Hill goes, "Oh my god." That's as far as I
That's
went.
a callback.
That really is.
A deep cut.
Yeah, so it's an exploding heart and a couple of crosses, and that's all that's on this one.
Cool.
She's gonna crucify your nuts.
Wonderful. And then I pass out.
Okie doke. So you both go to bed then.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so you sleep through. Let's say, are you heavy sleepers, light sleepers? When do you think you're likely to be getting
I
up?
think Sailors used to be a heavy sleeper back when he didn't have a lot to worry about, but since this loan thing with the Mackenzie brothers, he's become a light sleeper.
Okay.
Giles is a very heavy sleeper, but he's also one of those people that he is either asleep or he is awake.
Okay.
There is like literally no middle ground with him. So the second he wakes up, he's just bolt upright, ready for the day.
Okay then. So we'll say that Silas wakes up at about 7ish. Let's say he gets about 5 hours in. It's around 2:30. So let's say
light sleep.
you get about 5 hours. It's not ideal, but whatever. So, and you're going to wake up an hour later, Giles. So, is there anything you want to do in that hour, or do you want to just have the time pass? And
I want to go down to breakfast.
okay, doke. So you're going to head downstairs.
I do.
Tommy's still behind the bar, and he's kind of half awake, like picking peanuts out of a packet of peanuts in front of him. The barfly is still sat there, completely fixed in place. He seems like a statue almost.
Good morning, Tommy. Good morning, Barry.
Morning. Barry doesn't react.
Well, I wasn't expecting him to, really, but...
Morning. All right, mate. You're up early, aren't you?
I don't sleep. I don't sleep much.
Oh, things on your mind?
No, I just don't. Well, yes, but that's not really your business.
All right, fine.
So touchy, I love it.
I was just wondering if you had anything to eat.
Tommy looks around the bar and kind of looks down at his packet of peanuts, and then reaches up just over his right shoulder and pulls down another packet of peanuts off the wall and just chucks them at you. Dry roasted.
Oh.
He dry roasted chucks them at him.
I kind of fumble the catch a bit.
Okay. Do you want to roll for it?
Do you want me to roll for it?
Nah, it's not a fun one if you get it wrong.
That's a fucking hilarious roll.
Oh, the peanuts are on the floor. What will we do?
There's some hardcore rule hammer gaming going on here.
Oh, yeah.
He throws peanuts at you. Roll.
Roll for sleep.
The peanuts explode. Critical fail.
Make a dexterity check to see if you catch your breakfast.
You remember you're allergic to peanuts and you
I
die.
was going to say critical fail, you develop an allergy.
I'm allergic to seafood.
Yeah. So it's viable. But there's no seafood here. So yeah, you've got a packet of peanuts, and Tommy kind of goes back to like, well, eat that if you like. I mean, that's all I got. And he goes back to nibbling his peanuts.
I kind of look at them and as if to say, like, I was really rather hoping there'd be some kind of actual breakfast. But I kind of look at them for a second and then just at Tommy, who I realise is that's all he's having as well. So he's quite clearly not holding back anything from me.
No.
Like if I'd have walked down and he had a big plate of food in front of him and then was like, there you go, eat your peanuts, you fucker. That would have been another story. But I just sort of thank you. I go back up to the room to just sit forlornly on the end of my bed eating peanuts for breakfast.
Oh, what an image. Okay, so Giles wakes up, spots you eating peanuts. What do you want to do?
Can I have a couple of those?
Well, he's got bags of them downstairs, but alrighty.
Alright, come on in.
I
Let's go see Bonnie.
You didn't want the peanuts?
Okay.
I'm sure we could find something better than peanuts out on the fucking streets.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Not literally out on the fucking streets, but you know.
To be honest, probably these are bloody awful peanuts.
How do you fuck up a peanut? That's not a joke. I'll see you. I know what you're like. Don't try and be funny. I'm joking. Go on, you know I love you. You go for it, son. Son, a bit much. You know I love you. You go for it, mate.
Okay, so what do you? You just gonna head downstairs then?
Yeah, I actually got to bring my gun with me this time, like back at the trousers.
Okay, so it's concealed.
Yeah,
Not the front.
I'm not just walking out like right, going out.
Okie doke.
Rocking out with your Glock out.
Right. Well, as you head down the stairs, it's now 8:30ish in the morning. Tommy has finished his peanuts. The packet is empty on the surface. Barry is ever so slightly swaying now. There's an indication that he's conscious.
Right.
Just as you're getting down to the bottom of the stairs, the front door of the pub opens, and in walks Bonnie. She walks in and goes, "Hello, Tommy. Hello, Barry." And Tommy goes, "Oh, Bonnie!" And his eyes light up. His focus goes 100% to her. He's not noticed the fact that you guys have just come down the stairs.
He's got a bit of a crush on her then.
Something like
Possibly. I'm beginning to sense his motivations behind hiring us to...
that. She walks over to the bar.
Says the man who got tucked in and told you about Eastenders.
That was part of the mission. I haven't told Giles what went on behind
This is very true.
True.
I'm ashamed
That you haven't told me or that it happened?
that it happened.
So, Bonnie walks further into the pub. Straight, you're kind of off to the side at an angle where, like, the stairs you've come down, she's eyes fixed on Tommy, Tommy's on her, you're coming in from the side. So neither of them have really noticed that you're there, and you're witnessing her walk into the bar with a big smile on her face. "Oh, morning, Tommy. How's it going? How's the business going?" He says, "Oh, you know what it's like around here, love. Oh, it's pretty bloody awful, but when you walk in here, it's like a ray of bloody sunshine." She said, "Oh, you're too kind." She walks over to Barry, and she's got a bag with her, which she opens up, and she says, "Hello, Barry. How are we doing today?" He kind of goes, I'm okay, Bonnie." It's the most you've seen out of him so far. He's managed an actual sentence.
It's practically a speech.
But he's not moved at all. He's still facing forwards. And
We're
she says, "You've not drank too much now, have you, Barry? You're keeping an eye on what you're doing here." And she starts clearly fawning over him a little bit and trying to take care of this guy. And Tommy's watching over this with a look in his eye of like, this is why I've hired these guys. So, what do you guys want to do then?
I feel like any questioning would have been better without Tommy here. Like any questions we might have asked about, oh hi, we heard you were in some trouble with debt or whatever. If we've got Tommy looking over us, he might, it might almost be sort of like a bit awkward.
It's alright, I can do this.
Well, let's say that as you're walking from the door, Tommy hears just enough movement that he kind of looks over towards the two of you, and he shoots a glance as if to say discretion. Right? Gives you a look like, don't. We're not here talking business right now. Let's keep it nice.
Right. Okay.
Are you not going to introduce us, Tommy?
All right, lads. Bonnie. These lads here, they're just lodgers. You heard him, he wants an introduction. This one is Giles, this rough-looking one. And this one's Selas.
I think you mean rugged.
That's one way of putting it. And he kind of shoots you a look that's like, now is not the time to be picking fault with what I'm saying. Let's just...
I wink at him.
He rolls his eyes. And he turns back towards Selas. And this one's Selas.
Oh, well, nice to meet you.
Bonnie smiles warmly towards both of you, but is very clearly more interested in what she's doing with Barry.
Yeah.
Oh, morning, boys.
You alright, darling? How's it going?
Oh, it's all right. I'm just doing my rounds. I pop in every morning to say hello to Barry, make sure he's okay, and it's always nice to see Tommy as well. He always tries to treat me nice, as rough as it is around here.
Oh yeah, what do you do?
Oh, I work in the local clinic. In fact, I run it. I mean, it's really my clinic.
Oh wow, that's amicable.
Well, I mean, I do what I can, and she kind of clearly is like lost in thought for a moment as she considers what it is that she's been doing.
What's the matter, darling? You look like something's troubling you.
Tommy shoots you a glance again that's the raised eyebrow of like, where are we going here? But he's not going to say anything yet. And she kind of focuses in all the more with what she's doing to Barry, but talks to you still and says, "Well, I've been running the place by myself for quite a long time now. This place, when I got here, I visited with some friends. They dragged me along, and I saw what was going on, and it's just rough. I've come from the city. I've come from quite a well-to-do background, in fact, and I've arrived here, and it was all too much for me to take. I'm not friends with those people anymore that I came with. They went off to the Giant Sin and had some kind of good time, I guess. But I realised that's not for me. And, well, I thought, what can I do? And I took my parents' money. They're both gone now. And the family home back in the city, I sold up and I came out here. And it's been about a decade now that I've been working here. And mostly it's Barry that I kind of come around and keep an eye on. And there's the local kids and families and what have you, the sort of hangers-on and stragglers that have stuck around. They're on hard times around here. And I've been keeping an eye for, as I say, about 10 years. And, well, times are hard.
You're not doing well out of that, then?
Well, it's not like I'm going to get paid now, is it? And I'm not here to be paid. That's not the point.
Nah, but you need money to run things, don't you?
It is quite a small village as well. It can't be much in the way of, custom.
You'd be surprised with the amount of footfall that comes through here. I mean, there's obviously, there's the people that work at the club, and I do pop in there from time to time and make sure that they're looked after, and that's a whole other set of problems. You can imagine I've got a lot to think about with them.
And different type of medicine, I would...
Well, that's it, and I mean, it's not a pleasure to work in this town, but like I say, they need me, and I'm dedicated. And, well, I don't know what to tell you, boys. I don't want to go too far into talking about this, and it's very clear that she's becoming distracted from what she's doing with Barry now, and she's finishing up quite rapidly. Like she's pulled up her jacket arm, and it's quite clear that he's got an infection of some sort under one of there, and she's been looking after it and tending it, cleaning it and what have you, and is just about wrapping up, and her hands are shaking visibly a little bit as she's talking now.
I'm going to hand her a medikit because I've got several on me. And will this help at all, darling?
She glances over for the first time properly in your direction and is taken aback ever so slightly at your appearance, but then sees the medikit in your hand. It wasn't because you were handsome.
Fucking was.
You're a small man with a big leather.
For the sake of listeners, he mouths because I'm handsome. It's like, no, not because you're
I meant
handsome.
the character, not me.
Yeah, the character.
I'm
It's
stunning.
not because he's handsome, it's because he's a rough-looking sort. And she's
Rugged.
very much... She didn't know who she was talking to quite. But she sees
The
the
voice
medikit
definitely
in your
doesn't
hand.
give it away.
Well, this is a rough town. Like, there's a lot of footfall and what have you. You never know. A lot of people talk with a lot of different accents. You can't judge a person just by that.
End of episode.
That's the moral of the story.
Don't judge me on my accents.
We all learned something today.
The more you know. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. Our next episode, the third part of our Shadowrun storyline, will be available as usual in 2 weeks' time on Thursday, the 27th of September. In the meantime, you can get in contact with us on Twitter and Facebook, both of which we are at Pretend with Dice. You can also email us at pretendingwithdice@outlook.com. If you're an iTunes user, it'd be really great if you could leave us a rating and review. It all helps us to find new listeners, and we'd just love to hear what you all think of the podcast. So for now, that's our show. I hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.